I don't think I can be bothered. It's me! Hi guys, my name's Steve, Sarah's Corner. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about why I'm no longer interested in reading young adult fiction. This should be a fun one. I have been seeing discourse about young adult fiction and about how, you know, if you're of a certain age, maybe you shouldn't read young adult fiction. And I just thought it was such an interesting conversation because we are currently in an era of feeding the inner child, healing the inner child. Everything is to do with kind of protecting and nurturing the inner child. And you're also concurrently, that's not a word, both at the same time, you are having these discussions about young adult fiction and why adults really shouldn't be reading young adult fiction. I know there's a lot of nuanced discussions happening. I'm not going to, mention every viewpoint in this video. I'm just here to talk about why I don't read young adult fiction, because I used to be a very voracious young adult reader. Past the demographic age, young adult fiction is about 14 to 18-year-olds. Like, that is sort of the demographic. Maybe up to like 20-year-olds. So I was kind of in that demographic for a couple of years, not too recently. Going into my early 20s and stuff, I was still reading young adult fiction. I was still like excited about young adult fiction. When I was working in publishing, like within the editorial department, I was working on like young adult books as well and reading enquiries and stuff. So like I was still in that headspace essentially when I was like in my early 20s. And then I realized that I shouldn't be reading as much young adult fiction. And this is completely a personal thing. Like, if you love, young adult fiction, do what you want to do. When I started questioning whether or not I should be reading young adult fiction, and I feel like you can kind of see this in my previous videos maybe, is when I started to get truly annoyed with the protagonist. Sometimes, like characters were just acting, not of sound mind, you know what I mean? And there was like a writing flaw within that. But I did find that I was just getting too frustrated with characters in their teenage years who were just acting like teenagers. Do you know what I mean? I would just be reading it like, oh, come on, Kevin, can we please? Like, why are you, having such varying mood swings and you need to save the world? What is going on? And it was kind of funny because at the same time when I was reading young adult fiction, I was also reading adult fiction, but I was also reading middle grade. Middle grade fiction, there's such magical things happening in middle grade fiction. And I feel like sometimes because there's that distance, I can appreciate where the characters are mentally without judging them for their, reactions. I don't have that kind of gap when it comes to young adults. Not that I'm hanging around with teenagers. Oh god, this video is gonna sound so weird. What I'm trying to say is that I feel like I'm still too close to the young adult demographic to truly appreciate the young adult kind of struggles almost. Like, I need a bit of distance to just be like, oh yeah, I'm there, and they're doing that because they're teenagers. And also, as I grow older, naturally, the things that are going on in young adult fiction aren't things that I can relate to. Do you know what I mean? Wow, like, who could have guessed? Who could have thought? But like, I'm not relating to the plot lines and the emotionality of young adult. I feel like I see a lot of people talk about like new adult. Is that even, I feel like that is the category, like new adult, and like, oh, we need a category for like people in their early 20s to like 30s, and like, fair enough, maybe, but also just like explore adult fiction maybe. Because I started reading adult fiction, I guess even before I was like an adult, do you know what I mean, in my late teens and stuff, and I was really enjoying it. One of my favorite books is like Kazuo Ishiguro's Remains of a Day. Like, I absolutely adore that book. I read it while I was in sixth form, and that's not young adult at all. It's definitely like adult fiction. I think the protagonist is in his 60s, maybe even 50s, but there's so much enriching stuff I found within that book that I feel like I probably wouldn't have gone from like the majority of young adult fiction that was going on. And that is not to downplay young adult fiction. Like, young adult fiction has its place and has its time and has its meanings and values and da 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 da. But just currently, I've moved on from that, and I feel like I just need a bit more complexity, a bit more nuance, a bit more mature kind of themes. I can't remember the last time I read young adult, to be honest. I wouldn't even be able to tell you like the book's name because it's probably a book that I DNF. And that's another thing. I feel like I just realized I was DNFing a lot of like young adult books specifically. And it's like, okay, am I wasting my time and my money buying young adult books? I'm never going to finish them. You know what I mean? There was a pattern kind of forming. I feel like I just had to take a step back and be like, I'm actually really enjoying adult fiction, probably because that is the right books I need to read. When you think of adult fiction, you probably think of like the Booker Prize and all these like prestigious like book awards and like the books that are within those categories. Or you think of like that one book with the crying guy and you think, oh my god, like adult fiction's going to just be depressing. And adult fiction can be depressing, but also can just be so illuminating. Take the leap, you know, just try, see what happens. Adult fiction is just as diverse as young adult, and young adult is just as diverse as middle grade. Essentially, you can find the book that you really want to read within adult fiction. You just have to kind of look for it. You just need to find the authors that you click with. So for me, like Caleb Femi is a author, poet that I, keep in my mind's eye essentially when it comes to new releases that may be coming out. Rosario Maka, another like Black British author who I just keep my eyes on, you know what I mean, on the radar and stuff. This isn't life or death, of course. Like, if you want to read young adult, read young adult, but I do feel like there is like a sizable amount of people who just had not thought to like leap into adult fiction for whatever the reasons, whether you think it's a really kind of like white, demographic of books, whether you think it's boring, whether you think it's like it can be a bit pretentious. Those are things that are like all kind of true, but also not true. I do feel like a lot of discourse that happens within book communities, which I would not know completely because I stay away from all of that. I just, keep it very personal, very, very like that. But I feel like a lot of the discourse comes from people not reading within their age demographic. And, making big discussions about all these things. I was like, okay, but that book wasn't even for you. Am I saying that I'm never going to read a young adult novel again? Of course not. There are a lot of authors that I really enjoy their young adult novels, like Dean Ada, Benjamin Dean. I really enjoy like their young adult novels, so like they're always going to be on my radar. But I think, generally as an umbrella, I would definitely say I've like moved away from young adult, especially within the fantasy genre. Like, I just don't know, like the premises are so good, but like when I read it, it's like, yeah, this is definitely not for me, and that's absolutely fine because I can find stuff within adult fantasy. I do feel like that shift is actually happening in romantasy, where people are kind of like leaving young adult and going towards romantasy, which is obviously a bit more adult, a bit more mature. So we are seeing the shift slowly, and I do appreciate that publishing is kind of sticking to its guns in regards to like, this is young adult, this is for young adult readers, and are actually trying to expand their romantasy kind of offering now. So I feel like that is like a positive kind of shift. I'm not saying that like young adult premises aren't like interesting. I'm not saying that you're a bad person if you read young adult and you're not a young adult. And I'm also not saying that like you can't read whatever you want. Read whatever you want. If there's a lovely middle grade, I'll pick up the middle grade. I will pick up a middle grade because it's just great like escapism for an hour and a half. But yeah, that's basically the video. Was I rambling? Of course I was, but my opinion's out there. I yapped to a camera, and that's a win. I'd love to hear your opinions on, reading young adult as an adult. Is there a cutoff point? Of course there's a cutoff point. Books are books, but like I'm wondering if there was like a personal kind of transition that you guys did, because I just felt like in my early 20s there was a definite balance shift in regards to the young adult that I was reading and the adult fiction I was reading, and I just felt like I could enjoy myself more within adult fiction. But I'd love to hear your guys' like thoughts and opinions, so please leave them below in the comments. And please remember to subscribe to my channel, like this video. But I'll see you guys soon in another video soon. Bye.